So I thought I would go through what a whole month, yes, 4 weeks of what my roster looks like as a doctor. I know it can be a little bit like ambiguous as to what hours a doctor actually works. It always seems like you're always working, but I mean, you do have some time off. I'll show you when my time off is. You actually get to go home. It's not the fact that you just like live at the hospital or anything like that. You can do like a little bit of overtime as a doctor. Of course, everyone knows that. I've experienced it. There's been some weeks where you do heaps and heaps and heaps of hours. Let's go through what a whole month of my life looks like as a doctor according to my work schedule. I've just screenshotted the last 4 weeks that I had as a doctor. Yeah, let's just go through them. I'm not going to talk about them. Let's go through them. And hopefully this helps. You can see what I do, what I get up to when I start, finish, and everything like that. So we'll go right into it. As you can see, in the first week, we are actually on days. So the first 3 weeks were on days. The 4th week, we're actually transitioning onto nights. Now, first week on the Monday, we start at 7:30 and we finish at 8:30 p.m. We've got 13 hours there. That is essentially how many hours we are rostered to do. The red just means that we're on call for that day. So we're holding the phone, we're taking all the referrals, we're getting contacted if someone is in ED and needs to potentially come in for an admission under our unit. We are getting called from other people outside the hospital for advice if they need to transfer a patient here or whatnot. We get contacted by GPs, whoever it is. If there is a person who wants to get in touch with a doctor for our particular unit, I'm the person on that day taking those calls. Of course, there's a consultant aligned to the day of the on-call. So all the consultants rotate each day, just like the registrars, but this is essentially what it looks like for me. So 7:30, 8:30, that's the start time. I'm probably there about 7:15. And if I can get out on time, I can leave at 8:30. Usually there's a person who starts at 8 p.m. and we have half an hour to sort of hand over. So long as I'm not knee deep in something like an operation or halfway through an admission, then it should be a pretty smooth transition. I think one of the main things to think about is we used to do this a lot in the emergency department when I was working there as an intern. And we would have shifts that say that they start at like 1:30 and then they finish at like 10:30 p.m. or something. And we would have a rule that in the last half an hour or 45 minutes of the shift, you shouldn't actually pick up any patients like new, because any new patients that you pick up take time. You need to take a history, you need to do an exam, you need to, see what their investigation results are. You need to think about what's going on with them. Then you need to review any investigations that are still pending. You need to have a chat to the consultant. It can take a little bit, Some patients are very straightforward, clear cut, very simple, and don't take all that 45 minutes of time. But in case you start something and you're not able to finish it, it's kind of messy when you have to hand over if you're not slick and efficient as what some other more experienced people are. So especially as an intern, you shouldn't be picking up any patients towards the last bit of the shift in the emergency department. I think that rule sort of semi-applies here. I mean, it's not a bad idea to think, well, I'm gonna leave, technically I'm supposed to leave at 8:30. I'm not gonna just live at the hospital for the sake of living at the hospital. If there is a patient who's been referred at say 8 o'clock, they're still waiting on some investigations, I think that's pretty reasonable to just hold off, even 7:30. I mean, yes, you're rostered till 8:30, but there's someone coming on at 8 p.m. Potentially there's other people who you've seen that you need to hand over. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Have a think about it so you're not tied up with things at the hospital that you can't let go of. You want to make sure that you're able to hand over properly at the right times. They are start and finish times for a reason. You're doing shift work. That means you essentially need to leave the hospital at some point. So yeah, think about that. Anyways, we won't spend this long on each day, but yeah, Monday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Big day, 13 hours. Tuesday, pretty good. So Tuesday is our half day. We start at 7:30 and we finish at 1:30 p.m. The dark blue just means we're on a half day, so 6 hours in total. 1:30 p.m. comes around and we get to get out of the hospital. Not too bad at all. Wednesday, we're doing a full day, 7:30 till 5:30 p.m. that is a 10-hour shift. The yellow highlighted hasn't got anything to do with the 10. The 10 is the number of hours from 7:30 a.m. till 5:30 p.m. The highlighted yellow just means that we are on standby. In case someone calls in sick for night shift, we are on standby. So if they call in sick, then we have to stay back and do the night shift. And obviously they have to give us a lot of notice. Otherwise it's hard to actually, do that. We can't just stay up all day and then be expected to do another 12-hour shift overnight. Like, that's dangerous, both for yourself and for patients. So in terms of like giving them, adequate care, and you can't actually just stay up 24/7, you're not a robot. So make sure you get adequate notice for that. And I think there's a rule, I'll try to look it up after I finish filming this and put it in the screen below, when they have to let you know by. If it's 6 hours notice or 8 hours notice, I'm not too sure, but.
So I couldn't find anything in particular about the amount of time that they have to give you before being able to call you in. I guess it just says this is just like one of the screenshots that I took from a hospital's JMO guide. And they just say you have to be able to be contacted at any time. You have to remain in a fit state to work. You have to be able to be at the required site, at the hospital, within 1 hour of them contacting you. And I feel like it's a bit stiff. If you're on call for the night and you are about to do a full day shift, then you can't do a full day shift and then go in and do a full night shift. That's a bit ridiculous. I feel like there's maybe some unspoken rules at the hospital or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I tried to do a little bit of digging but couldn't find anything, just searching around. But I feel like if they're going to call you into a night shift, then they should let you know early in the day so you can go home and rest. But I guess it's just going to be up to the hospital, and you'll have to liaise with them. And obviously, if you have any issues, contact the AMA or whatever sort of organization can help out with that sort of thing.
Anyways, medical workforce technically have to let you know a certain amount of time before you get called in if you're on standby for these things. So yeah. Thursday is another straightforward day, 7:30 till 5:30 p.m, 10 hours. Friday is actually technically like a Tuesday, but it's 11 hours of work. We finish at 6:30, but we actually finish work at 1:30. So let me explain that real quick. As a registrar, you are actually allocated training time, and you get a bit of training time each week. So think about it. We finish at 1:30 here, 6:30. That's 5 hours, and it's the same thing in week 2 over here. So 10 hours per week of paid training time is what the registrars are allocated to. Now, that's kind of nice because we actually don't get paid training time as a resident or an intern or whatever. So as a registrar, you're allocated training time. That time is meant to be used for your training. Now, potentially some people might schedule some events or teaching sessions or whatnot, but at least at the hospital I'm at, it's just a DIY. You use it for your own benefit. So anyways, you get to make it up and use that time for your study and education. So yeah, that's how that works. But on Friday, I would have finished at 1:30 and then use that time as a half day to go and study or, do some teaching session or whatever. You don't have to completely study in that time, but you get time allocated to study. So you may as well use it for it. And yeah, then we get to the weekend. So weekend is off. So half day into the weekend, that's amazing. Saturday and Sunday, fully grayed out. There's no shifts. We're not coming into work. We're not doing anything like that. So Saturday and Sunday, perfect. That is week 1. So in total, we worked, let's have a look at this. 19, 29, 39, 40, 50. So that was a 50-hour week that we had there. And yeah, technically you could do 50 minus 5 is 45 for the actual hours we were at work, but that's not including overtime. We also didn't get called in for this shift here as well. So you get paid for being on standby. So if you're highlighted yellow, you will get paid a certain amount just for being around, being ready to be called if you need. If you don't get called, then you still get paid. And if you get called in, then you get paid for that shift that you do. So if I got called in and I had to do a night shift and it was 8 p.m. till 8 a.m. the next day, then I would get paid properly like a night shift for that work. And yeah, but if I didn't have to get called in and I just sat around waiting to get called in, but I didn't have to, then I still get paid. Very small amount. Anyways, that was that first week. So total of 50 hours. That's a pretty good week. I mean, it's not massive, but it's a steady week, you know, it's a steady week of work. So yeah, week 1 down. Let's go on to week number 2. Now we're on week 2. Let's go to the start of it. I didn't realize we started with a half day. Amazing. 7:30 till 6:30. We didn't include the hours on that. Ooh. Anyways, that's fine. So as we know from last time, 7:30 till 6:30 p.m. Sorry, it's not a half day, it's a teaching day. So that's an 11-hour day technically. We would have gone home at 1:30 because we're not hanging around to do teaching at the hospital. We're gonna do our own training time. We're gonna make it up and do our own training in our way. Do you know what I mean? So that's pretty much a half day with some training and some study. Tuesday is a full day, 7:30 till 5:30. That is a 10-hour day. We're back on call on Wednesday, so that's a full 13-hour. Thursday and Friday is the same thing. Saturday and Sunday, we're actually gonna be a standby on call. What that means is essentially if someone on the weekend who's usually rostered during the day calls in sick, we have to come in and do work, which is sad. And because whoever's rostered on Saturday is also rostered on Sunday, if they call in sick for both days, sad weekend for us. We're on both days. So yeah, no good. No good. Anyways, we get paid for being standby on call. You essentially get paid, I think it's like a couple $100 each day to just be around. Maybe it's not even a couple $100. It might be less. I'll put in the amount like above my head or something. And yeah, that's how much you actually get paid to, you know, not drink, not like go interstate. You have to be like around close by in case someone calls in sick and you have to come in and do the shift for them. I guess if you had like a major event planned, like a weekend away, some festival or something, you know, a big like tournament, or I don't know, whatever you have, probably not the best idea to schedule that on a standby on-call weekend because potentially you could get called in and then you have to come and work, which means you have to work bad, and number 2, you don't get to do your fun thing that you had planned. So there you go. So that week, let's just calculate. We had 11, we had 10, we had 13. So what is that? Is that 34 so far? That's 44, 54. Yeah, because we didn't have a half day, so that makes sense. So we have to add on that. Sure. Yeah, I think that's right. 11, 21, 24, 34, 44, 54. Yeah, that's correct. And then we have standby on call, which we didn't work, but we get paid for anyways. Not the full shift, just being around. Okay, I'm not sure why that's grayed out. Maybe I stuffed it up or something. But week 3, 7:30 to 5:30, 7:30 to 5:30, just 10-hour shifts back to back. Wednesday, we're on call again. This is essentially like an identical week to week 2. We're doing a 13-hour shift on Wednesday. Thursday is 11 hours. We have that training day. We have one every single week, which is good. That is 11 hours in total, including the 5 hours of training time. Remember, the training time is 5 hours per week or 10 hours per fortnight. Friday is a full day. We were standby on nights, didn't get called in, which was good. That is a 10-hour shift. So week 3 will essentially be the same hours as week 2. So what's that? 54. This is not including the overtime that is not planned. It's unscheduled. Do you know what I mean? So potentially, you know, these, I can't recall for exactly the right day, but say on Friday, if I had to stay back and do maybe like an hour of work, to be honest, last Friday. So Friday just gone, I did stay back until about 6:30 to finish off a case, which started late. The morning operating list went overtime. We started our afternoon operating list later. We didn't finish that until about 6:30. So that's what time I actually ended up getting out, which, yeah, I'll claim that as a 1 hour of overtime. That makes sense. So there you go. and that wouldn't have been included on my roster. So that's exactly what you have to do. That week was the final one. I transitioned into night shifts after that. So we had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off. Wednesday is that training time. So if I'm not working, which I wasn't allocated work on Wednesday, but they still have to fit in my training time anyways, I get allocated 5 hours, 7:30 till 12:30 p.m. to study, train, work on myself, whatever. And that's paid time. Doesn't mean I have to go into the hospital. I guess if they had teaching sessions or study sessions, training sessions scheduled there, that would be a good idea to go and do that. That's what it's for. But I could just study, or I could, go to some other course, or watch a couple lectures online, practice something else. So that's what that time is for. And then started the run of nights. So this was the start of my run of 3 weeks in a row of night shifts. So yeah, as you can see, 8 p.m. is what my start time is, 8 a.m. is what my finish time is. That's a 12-hour shift, and I do 7 of those in a row. So if you fast forward to week 5, I would have finished on Wednesday night. So that would have been my last shift start time, 8 p.m. on Wednesday, and I would have finished at 8 a.m. on Thursday, the following day. So 7 days in a row, 7 times 12, what's that? Pretty sure that's 84. Yeah. Yes. Okay, I had to double check that. 7 times 10 is 70. 7 by 2 is 14. So 70 plus 14 is 84. Oh my God, we got there. Maths under pressure. Maths is usually fine. I don't know what I'm freaking out about. Anyways, the shifts are in yellow because, I don't know, they're a night shift. They're different. 12 hours because we do 12 hours of work. And yeah, they're just back to back. They suck. Night shifts, I don't really like night shifts. I don't think anyone does. Well, actually, no, take that back. People do like night shifts for a particular reason, but it's not for me. I'll do them. I'll pay my dues, but I don't like to do them. Anyways, after that week of night shifts, we get actually a whole 7 days off. So work for 7 days, rest for 7 days. It's kind of good. But yeah, that week would have been, what's that? More quick maths, 24, that's 48. So that's 53. So 53 hours of work for that week. The following week would have only done 3 days of work, which would have been 36 hours. So yeah, it all matches up. But you get paid more for working overnight, late hours, doing big shifts, everything like that. So yeah, that's a month of my roster as a doctor, scheduled at least. You can see the different types of shifts that I get allocated. I guess to clarify my position, I'm a surgical registrar at the moment, and those are the types of shifts that I have to do. Residents or interns won't get allocated that training time, 5 hours a week or 10 hours per fortnight, which is trained, which is, those hours are actually paid for us as registrars. Interns and residents won't have to do the on-call shifts, which is the ones highlighted in red. People still do get half days as interns and residents. They will still do night shifts. Usually residents do that. Sometimes interns do overnight shifts as well. I did mine in ED. We had like a week of night shifts, which was good practice, good fun. I mean, not amazing, but it is what it is. And yeah, you still get the sick leave on call, like the standby on call shifts. That's what a month looks like. Hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.